Hello and welcome to English Capsules. Today's capsule, Emosido Engan. Get your coffee ready and let's get started.
So, hello, welcome everyone. As you have noticed, our episode today has a Spanish name, Emosido Engañados. And this is because today we are going to talk about common mistakes that we have observed in our students. These mistakes are related in a way to false friends, but they are not strictly false friends. These are false friends created by our students.
I think many times when we discuss this with our students, I arrive at the conclusion that there is something that happens with Spanish that allows them to relate the word in Spanish to the word in English and to believe like instantly that they are equivalents, right?
Right.
But in fact, well, no, they are not. So we have a list. We have a list of words that we are going to debate today.
I think these are the hardest mistakes to get rid of because
Mhm.
your brain has accommodated them in such a way that for you are correct. So it's very
Right.
hard for your brain to say, no, this is not, remember that this is not the way you should say it. There's another word. So I think these are the worst type of mistakes in the sense that they are very hard to eliminate them.
And besides, sometimes it happens that I remember a term, I think it was from language or it was from university. I acquired it there, and it was fossilize. To fossilize a mistake. It happens when you made this recurrent mistake over and over again. So it's like in the end, you end up believing that this is the correct thing to do, and actually it's a mistake. So you fossilize the word. So let's move on to our list. The first word that we have here is notice. This is a really popular one.
Most of our students believe that notice is the equivalent for noticia.
Yeah.
Bad news
Well,
is
if you
not.
see if you see the spelling, we can forgive our students. If you see the spelling, okay, yeah, I can't believe that they are confused with this. But well, uh, and besides, they are notice doesn't mean noticia, and besides, it is an action. I notice something, right?
It's to
So
pay
notice
attention to something when you notice. So
when you
notice that
notice,
you're making a mistake.
right? So noticia is news, right?
Right.
News.
And the singular form is a piece of news.
This is what another episode. Uncountable nouns. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Another one that is very common here, and I can see why, considering the word that we use in Spanish. So here we use apuntar when you start
okay,
an
let's
activity.
clarify. Let's
So,
clarify that here is Spain, right? Because this
sorry.
this is not going to happen in Argentina. This we wouldn't use this word. So this mistake wouldn't happen.
So normally we would say me apunté al gimnasio, for instance. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So when we say this, it means that you're going to start going to the gym. So
Hmm.
it's a common mistake for for my students to say I appointed to the gym,
Right.
which is not because when you appoint someone, normally it's because you are the ruler of a country somehow. So you appoint someone knight, for instance, or sir, or something like
Hmm.
this. But when you start doing an activity, it's take up or enroll.
The next one on our list is recognize. If we think for a synonym or maybe a definition for recognize is to admit, to acknowledge, to identify something, uh, but you don't recognize a person.
Okay, then we have realize. So the meaning that normally is given to this word is realizar.
Hmm. Because of the spelling again,
Yeah, because they are
I
quite
guess.
similar. And I get it. Realize is when you
When you know.
notice that you, for example, make a mistake with a word. That's realize. Or when you are like, oh, now I realize where I know you from. So it would be the same as darse cuenta.
The next one of the favorite, is actual or actually. This is very easy for students to get confused because it's the same word as in Spanish. If you see actual and you look at the spelling is exactly the same as in Spanish. But this one is a very tricky word. This is when we use actually, a close friend or a close meaning would be really. Like, my actual name is such and such. My Or saying something like, actually, what I wanted to say was this. So this means en realidad, right? If you want to say actualmente, you have to say currently, these days, nowadays. There are many options, but none of those options include the word actual.
Right. A very common one is to confuse. And again, this is because of spelling. The ones we're saying is mostly because of spelling, similar spelling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Idioms is confused with idiomas.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Unfortunately, we have to break the news to you. Idioms is not that. Idioms is a fixed expression that we use to describe something in a metaphorical way. So, an
Mm-hmm.
idiom would be, for example, it's raining cats and dogs. That's an idiom. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, not literally cats and dogs, but you get what I mean, right? It's raining a lot, it's a downpour.
The next uh, word that we have here is agree. Here, this one is a bit different because we don't get confused because of the spelling, because the meaning in Spanish is completely different, or the spelling is different. But the common mistake here is to add something that doesn't belong here. Agree, as you know, means estar de acuerdo. So it is pretty common for our students to add the word am, like I am agree, which is wrong completely. You should say I agree, I don't agree if it is in the negative, or I disagree. But we should never add the verb to be to this expression because it doesn't need it.
It's already there.
Two in one, right? Agree means estar de acuerdo, two in one.
Okay, another one, and this one happened to me when I was learning. So I think this one
Mhm.
took me a while. So discuss. Discuss doesn't have a negative meaning as we think. Discuss is
No.
normally mistaken with discutir. So
Like discutir, like a fight with, I had a discussion with my boyfriend. Well, no, you had an argument with your
So
boyfriend.
the negative meaning is argument. Argument is the same as discutir. So in this case, you do have different points of view, and that's why you're having an argument. However, when we
Mhm.
discuss something, it means that we are exposing our ideas in order to agree on something.
Or maybe it's just a debate on a
Or it,
topic.
yeah, right,
It
right.
happens, and this, if you pay attention to the classes, this happens all the time. Discuss the questions, discuss the statements below, discuss the quotes, and see whether you agree with them or not. So it is in our instructions when we teach all the time or many times. So it is not negative at all.
So we need to remember that this one has a positive meaning, not a negative one.
The last one of my favorites again, is history versus story. This is very, very commonly confused by many of my students. And it doesn't matter the level, because if it is
No.
low level or high level English, they get confused with these two words. So when we speak about history, first of all, the spelling
Is
is different
different.
because it starts with H. So that's why we already have there the sound like history, okay? And then the stress of the word falls on the first syllable, history. This is historia, but meaning
What happened
something
in the
related to
past?
yes, to the science, right? To the science, to history, the history of humankind, History Channel,
Egyptians,
it,
Columbus.
years, dates, events in history. That's why I am sure that our audience have seen the History Channel. Why?
Right.
Because it shows you the history of a civilization, for instance, or of a famous character in history. When we talk about story, the spelling is different. As we said, this starts with an S. The stress is different. It's story, not history, story. And we are talking about um, if we put this in Spanish, it wouldn't be historia, it would be relato, it would be cuento. So, for example, for kids, you can say, let's sit down here. I'm going to tell you a story. The story of a girl that used to live in a castle. Okay, that's the story.
So, another one that I want to add related to this is that on Instagram, you've got stories.
Yeah, you post
Okay.
stories that last
You
24
post
hours.
stories, not histories. And finally, we reach the one that has given the name to our episode. And
Mhm,
this is because this one particularly has been a mistake for us until quite recently, because we hadn't realized that this is wrong.
mhm.
So I'm sorry for all
What?
the students that probably I have taught this word wrong. I'm sorry. Um, but it's true. So it's common to say lengua, and we translate it as language. So this
Mhm,
is a mistake because when we talk about language, we refer to any language that can be spoken, like Russian, Japanese, Chinese, English, Spanish, uh,
mhm,
whatever one, name it. So language is the equivalent to idioma. Okay?
mhm, mhm,
When we're talking about the subject, lengua, we should say the one that we are studying. So we are studying Spanish, for example, or we
mhm,
study English, right? That implies that in this subject, we are going to study semantics, grammar, and all of this. So we are not going to say language, we're going to say Spanish.
So, just to give a closure to this episode, we have showed you many of the mistakes that are very recurrent mistakes in students. We will tell you now some tips or suggestions in order to overcome those mistakes. So, first of all, the first thing is to look up the word if you are not feeling sure about the use. Like, try to find the meaning, check the meaning with a dictionary, maybe a monolingual dictionary. When I say dictionary, it is online, of course. Monolingual dictionary. Um, check in a bilingual dictionary if the word that you chose has the meaning that you are thinking of, right?
Sorry, nowadays it's very common in dictionaries as well as translators. If you feel like using a
Mhm.
translator, it's very
Right,
common to have examples. So when you are selecting a
right,
word, the right procedure would be for you to read the example and see if it really fits in the meaning that you want to give the word. Because neither
right,
the dictionary nor the translator will be able to understand the meaning that you want to use of the word.
right. That's right. So after reading the examples that the dictionaries or translators give you, you can create your own example, personalizing the example. When we say personalizing, we mean making it true for you, like meaningful for you, right? So uh, look up the word, check the meaning in English, check the equivalent in Spanish, create your own example after reading the ones provided by the dictionary. And after that, I would add something else. If you are a visual student, keep those examples near you so that you can see them all the time and you end up learning them after reading it reading them so many times. Repetition is key in learning another language, right?
I would add that a very important thing, and this we have mentioned this before in our in other episodes, is being aware of the mistake. So
Mhm.
if any of the words that we have listed reach out to you because you have said this before, because you say, oh, I didn't know this one and it's a mistake, now I
Mhm.
know. So
Right.
pay a lot of attention when you're going to use the word. For me, for example, with the example of language, it's still very complicated to remove that word because, as you said at
Yeah.
the beginning, I had fossilized a mistake. So whenever I'm saying that, I have to be like a second, and they go like, okay, Spanish.
Working with colleagues or taking part in group classes, for instance, is really helpful because you can learn from other people's mistakes. Because I am saying this, why? Because I hadn't noticed the mistake with language until you told me. So this is one of the benefits from learning with others together. Like it's a
And,
construction,
and also, I would say, don't be scared of making mistakes because when
right?
we make mistakes, we learn. So it's not
Mhm.
wrong making mistakes. We're not saying, no, you should only speak if you're going to speak perfectly. No, that's not the message. The message is once you have realized that what you're saying is a mistake,
Mhm.
that needs to be accounted for. So you need to find a way to remediate the mistake. Have you got a recurrent mistake? So drop a comment here in Spotify, YouTube, or in our Instagram account, The English Capsule, and tell us which one is your mistake. Or if you're not sure if a word that you're saying is a mistake or not, so we can help you.
Mhm. Or if some of the words that we have listed during this episode is one of the mistakes that you usually make. Okay, so before we go, remember to subscribe if you haven't done it yet, give love to our content, and spread the word to help our channel grow.
Also, remember that you can rate our episodes and comment on each capsule. Activate the bell so that you know when our next capsule is out. And take a look at the description and our Instagram account to take more advantage of our content.
Okay, that's all for today. Bye for now.
See you in our next episode.